Okay, the United States is through to the round of 16. They beat Iran. I want to make sure I said that correctly. I know you guys get very, very offended when somebody pronounces your name, name of your country incorrectly. I believe it's Iran. It's not Iran. It's not Iran. It's Iran. So please, I'm not being facetious here. I'm not trying to make fun. I just want to say make sure I said it correctly. Iran. The United States sends Iran home. Iran only needed a draw in this game. They didn't get it. The United States wins a goal to nil. Christian Pulisic plays a great game, great half of a game because he had to come off from an injury. But still, congratulations to the U.S. for winning and advancing to the round of 16. We'll play the Dutch, the Netherlands. And what would be called a winnable game. Now, to be fair to the Netherlands, I do believe they are capable of beating the United States, and I believe they probably will be slight favorites. But having said that, I think the United States has a pretty good chance to beat a Dutch. This isn't a great team, Dutch team. This isn't the team of Johan Neeskens and Johan Cruyff or Dennis Bergkamp and that sort. This is not the strongest Dutch team that's ever played, but it's also not a weak team either. I think they're very good, led by Louis van Gaal. For all intents and purposes, it should be a good game, but certainly a winnable game from the United States perspective. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when that game kicks off. And, also, by the way, congratulations to England for beating Wales 3-0 on top of the group. I also want to praise Senegal for winning against Ecuador, who I thought was a very good team. Sorry to see them go. And to nobody's surprise, Qatar is out. 3 games, 3 losses, but they did get a goal. I was happy for Qatar to get the goal. Anyway, back to the U.S. game. The U.S. wins 1-0. Really, for the most part, they were the better team and deserved to win. And Iran could only blame themselves for being in the situation they were in. First of all, you lose 6-2 against England. That shouldn't have happened. You did play much better and well against Wales, getting a 2-0 win, but very, very late. And then when you played against the United States, there was a call for a penalty near the end of this game. There really wasn't a penalty. It wasn't a penalty. Once you saw the replay, questionable decision by Haji Wright to go for goal. I mean, if you're going to go for goal that late in the game and you're on a break like that, you better at least make the goalkeeper work for it. Make him make a save, knock it out for a corner kick, or if you're not going to do that, go to the corner flag and waste time. You don't need to go for a goal. That was a weak shot that he attempted. Bad play by Haji Wright. Nevertheless, no real complaints here from the United States. They held out near the end. I think Iran went forward and really had no choice if they were going to stay in this competition. And now, if you go back, they were talking about this from the 1990. I remember the 1998 World Cup when Iran played the United States and beat the U.S. 2-1. Iran basically just sucked up the pressure and hit 2 counterattacks and got 2 goals. And to be fair to Iran that day, they did deserve to win the game the way they played. The U.S. Was poor. They were poor in that tournament, finishing in last place, 32 out of 32, and had no complaints. But this time, I don't think Iran has any complaints losing to the U.S. I think the midfield of McKennie, Musa, and Tyler Adams, who, by the way, I thought is the youngest captain in the World Cup right now, is doing an outstanding job. And I thought the decision to start Cameron Carter-Vickers instead of Zimmerman was a smart decision by Greg Berhalter, who hasn't got a whole lot wrong in this tournament, to be fair, with the exception of the second half of absorbing pressure with Wales and not putting them out of their misery. The United States has made this work when they really didn't have to. I thought they were better than Wales. I thought they should have scored a couple goals, at least made it 2-0. They didn't do it. It ended up in a draw. Is what it is. You go up against England. You pretty much outplay England. And now you go up against a Dutch team, which is not, like I said, not the strongest Dutch team on the planet, but certainly a winnable game. But as I said, that's also a winnable game for the Dutch. I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to sit here and say that the Dutch have no chance or that the United States is better than the Dutch or the United States should go out and beat the Dutch, 90-0. Nothing of the sort. This is a decent Dutch team. They have some decent players. I've always enjoyed watching the Dutch play football, to be fair. when you look at the Dutch team and you look at you know who you have on that Dutch team, Virgil van Dijk, who plays for Liverpool, not having the best year, one can say, but he's still a tough defender. Frankie de Jong, Daley Blind, really good players for the Dutch, and it should be an interesting matchup. But I just want to give my thoughts on the United States versus Iran. Good performance, solid performance, deserved the victory, and more power to them moving on to the round of 16. Here's what you need to know about the United States and World Cup. The United States is qualified for the World Cup in 30, 34, 50, 90, 94, 98, 2002, 2006, 2010, 2014, and 2022. When the United States doesn't play in Europe, when the World Cup is held in any other part of the world other than Europe, then the United States does something of significance. For example, 1930 in Uruguay, they are credited with a third place finish. 1950, they did something. They didn't make it out of the round. Their group. They still beat England 1-0. That was something of significance. In 1994, when they hosted it, they made it to the second round. 2002 in Japan, South Korea, they made it to the round. They made it to the quarterfinals. If you go to 2010 and 2014, they made it out of their group. 2010, they beat Algeria on the last day, 1-0, and they ended up losing to Ghana in the round of 16. In 2014, they made it out of the round of their group, which was called the Group of Death. Had Germany, Portugal, the U.S., and Ghana, and they somehow made it out of that group. They ended up losing to Belgium 2-1 in extra time, but they still made it out of the group. And then in 2022 in Qatar, forgive me, in Qatar, they make it out of their group. Now, if you go to 1934, where it was held in France, they lose in the first game 7-1. In 1990 in Italy, they finished last in their group. In 1998, they finished last in the whole entire World Cup, and that was in France. In 2006 in Germany, they finished last in their group again. And then you go to 2018, they don't even qualify. So if a World Cup is held in Europe, the United States never does well historically. However, if it's held outside of Europe, they do something significant. So that's something to think about. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Go USA. Congratulations for advancing out of your group. Well done. Well earned. Go USA.